Hey everybody, Doug8798 here, back for another movie review. Since there's a G.I. Joe sequel movie coming out later on this month, I decided to review G.I. Joe Rise of Cobra, which came out in August of 2009, and I must say I loved this movie. This movie was pretty much a reimagining of the G.I. Joe franchise and an origin story because it shows you the rise of Cobra, the antagonist villainous organization, and it shows sort of an origin story for characters Duke, played by Channing Tatum, and Ripcord, played by Marlon Wayans, as they are normal soldiers who get set up on a mission and end up joining G.I. Joe, a secret military organization bent on protecting the world from the evil forces, bent on protecting the world from terrorist attackers. The main character, Duke, like I said, Duke and his buddy Ripcord get set up on a mission by McCullen, who is a weapons dealer who sells weapons of advanced technology to both sides, which is illegal, which is legal. He sets them up on a mission, and they end up joining GI Joe. From here on in, Duke finds out that Baroness, who you can see on the cover right here, who is the main female antagonist of this movie, is actually his lover, who is a former lover of his. And right over here to the far right, you see Cobra Commander, who was originally Duke's brother, who was thought to be dead, but ended up almost dying in some kind of explosion and became Cobra and have that Darth Vader like mask on. Right next to him is McCullen, the character I was talking about earlier, who got caught selling arms to both sides. Is Destro. Then right here, the ninja is Storm Shadow. As for the heroes, on the bottom right here, you see the black guy, of course, is Ripcord. Then you see Duke, the main character, Snake Eyes, the black ninja, and Scarlet, the main the main female heroine of GI Joe. When this movie came out, a lot of fans and critics hated it. Fans, of course, hated it because, well, I for one don't know much about GI Joe. I was a huge fan, and I enjoyed the 1983 Sunbrow cartoon, which aired on Cartoon Network's Toonami in 2001, and I played with the toys when I was a kid. But I for one liked this movie. It felt like the original Sunbrow cartoon, despite it being set in a futuristic setting. I remember the cartoon being set in the present, and I felt it kept the spirit of the cartoon. It was action packed. It was also hilarious. And at times violent. And like I said, I felt it kept true to the spirit of GI Joe. It had all the action, all the vehicles, the costumes, the character designs, and the highly advanced technology and the complex missions that were often seen in the cartoon. I've never read the comics, which according to most people developed the characters from the cartoon more, or I guess that's what most other people followed and consider the main source of GI Joe. But I think this is a criminally underrated movie because I thought this movie was awesome, and I hope the sequel is just as good. I'm gonna talk about the cast for a moment. Channing Tatum, I love him as Duke. He looks the part, but he really wasn't that good. He was weak. He was hilarious in the beginning, but he was weak when it came to the emotional scenes. That was at the end when he was strapped to the chair. Rip Marlon Wayans surprised me in this movie. When I saw him in this movie, I thought it was going to be a slapstick comedy, kind of like the Transformers series, the other Hasbro franchise that came out that year. But this was nothing like Transformers. There's humor in this movie, but it's normal referential humor and military-like humor, which is appropriate for a movie like G.I. Joe. Like this, it wasn't the slapstick comedy of the Transformers franchise. And Marlon Wayans was surprisingly portrayed a serious, relatable protagonist who was occasionally comical. Um, Bear, I thought the woman, despite not having the famous accent from the cartoon, I thought Sienna Miller was pretty awesome as Baroness. She looks like Baroness. It looks like when I saw Baroness, it looks like you took Baroness straight out of the cartoon and inserted her here into the movie. Um, um, Destro, of course, I didn't recognize in the beginning because I've never seen Destro outside the cartoon without his costume and helmet on. But when he put it on, when him and Cobra put on their stuff and became Destro and Commander, that was awesome. You can call me Commander. That was awesome. Snake Eyes was awesome. Snake Eyes and Storm Shadow were pretty badass too. I loved their backstory, and a lot of people claimed they were the best thing about the movie and saved the movie. But I pretty much enjoyed everything about this movie. General Hawk was pretty awesome too, and I also enjoyed Zartan. But I hope he gets his signature look from the cartoon later. But yeah, this was an awesome movie, and I think it's criminally underrated. I think the only reason this movie gets hate is because it's not that crappy Dark Knight film. All right, Dog 8798 out. Hope the sequel is better. Hope the sequel is just as good.